Hey, hello, John Dove here from Advocacy Club, and we've just had our public speaking session that has focused on building rapport. So I'm just going to share some hints and tips now on building rapport when delivering presentations. Now, in terms of building rapport, this starts before your speech even begins. So a piece of advice I always like to give somebody that's going to deliver any form of presentation is just take a second just to breathe before you start. Just helps get you composed, get you in the right frame of mind. It's very easy to think that when you're about to deliver a presentation, that whoever you're in front of, whether it's an audience, whether you're in court and you've got a tribunal, they're pressuring you to start. No, you're the speaker, you go when you're ready. And so just by taking that breath, having a little look around, that helps compose you and you go in your own time. But as you do that, as you have a little look around at your audience, whomever that might be, a little bit of a smile maybe, and make some eye contact, and you're making that connection straight away with your audience, you're building rapport and putting them at ease. Then the start of any form of presentation, and I'm speaking here more about sort of presentations outside of a courtroom, the start is very crucial for building that initial rapport. And so you need something that's going to be engaging at the very, very beginning. And there's different ways that you can go about this. So, for example, you could start a presentation with a rhetorical question, something that's linked to your topic that you're about to talk about. And that's important because it gets the audience thinking about whatever it is you're going to be talking about at that stage. So just by asking a rhetorical question, short pause afterwards for a few seconds to let the audience think, and you've got them on topic and they're thinking about your speech. Another way can be to start with an anecdote. So, we just heard somebody talking all about winter. So imagine if you start with a speech and you say, imagine you wake up one day, you look out of the window and what do you see? Vast amounts of white snow on the ground. You've set the scene there, people are listening, and you continue with the anecdote, they're ready to listen to more. So, it's a good way of setting a scene and really getting the audience on side. This video is brought to you by Speed Mooting. We are an organisation that help aspiring and junior lawyers. We run online and in-person advocacy and mooting competitions. We do online advocacy and public speaking training, and we run lots of other events to assist people on their legal journey. To learn more, visit our website, speedmooting.com. One thing I would say is your opening sentence should always be something a bit short and snappy. You don't want a really long, convoluted sentence because you're looking in that first sentence to really grab the attention of the audience. So something shorter, something bolder that's really going to get them on side. In terms of the actual presentation itself, I say this all the time, but speaking slowly is really, really important. And from a rapport point of view, it's really important because it makes it easier for your audience to follow along with what you're saying. If you speak so quickly that they're sort of on the edge of their seat trying to keep up with what you're saying, it's hard to have that rapport. They're hard to have them on side, and it feels a lot less conversational at that point. So that's why speaking slowly can be very, very important from this point of view. Always try and draw parallels with your audience and make them feel at the same level as you. So talk about maybe some shared experiences. So as you're trying to explain a topic, you might say something like, well, we all know that feeling of when we all experience. So use of the word we can be very important, and you're drawing upon a shared experience with the audience, which can always be very helpful. I've mentioned this before. I mentioned eye contact at the start, but eye contact throughout a presentation is really important as well. So, if you find that you haven't practiced, you don't know what you're about to say, and you're absolutely tied to your notes like that, you're looking down the whole time and there's no eye contact, it doesn't feel like you're talking it feels more like you're talking at a piece of paper rather than delivering a presentation to your audience. So by practicing, you're not tied to a set of notes. You can actually look at your audience and maintain eye contact with various members of the audience. And therefore, once again, that builds that connection and makes them more engaged and more likely to listen and take in what you're saying. The use of a pause throughout a presentation is quite important as well. And particularly if ever you make a really important point, give a pause. It tells the audience that you've just given them a really important piece of information, and it really lets that piece sink in and really allows the audience to process what you've just said. You can also use sort of I suppose the word for this would be empathy. So you might be trying to explain a concept to the audience, for example, that they think, is that might seem crazier out there, and you say, you may think this sounds impossible, but so you get in the I suppose empathy is the best word that I can think of from the audience there, but try and relate to them on that level, and that's a good way of drawing that out at that stage. And then always at the conclusion, try and you have some sort of takeaway line at the end, which once again, just like the start, should be very short and very easy for the audience to take in. So they're just some simple pointers with regard to building rapport.